So you have to understand what Satan and the rest of the angels seen. So again, you can't read the Bible and understand the Bible reading it from a human perspective. If you do that, friend, you're going to come up with some crazy ideas. So when the Bible talks about clouds in reference to God, you need to go find out what kind of clouds they are. Watch. Ezekiel chapter 1. Look at this, friends. What kind of cloud did Ezekiel see? So Ezekiel was a priest. And he said, hey, I was over here as a captive. This is the second captive, King Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon, went to Jerusalem, and he took captives first. In the first round, Daniel and the Hebrew boys went, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, all the smart people in royalty. The second time, he took all the priests, okay? And he just left the poor people. Third time, he went burn the city down. Now, he went with the second group. The first group went to Babylon, the capital. This group right here went to by a city by the river Shebon. Now watch. He's seen a cloud. This is the same cloud Satan is making reference to over in the book of Isaiah. What did this cloud look like? Is it some puffy white stuff or some dark stuff? Then I looked, and behold, he was shocked. When he looked, this is one of those, it should be an exclamation point, because he was absolutely positively blown away. A whirlwind. So what is that? That's a tornado, friend. A tornado, and watch, was coming out of the north. North? Yeah, up. It was coming down. A great cloud. There you have it. So when Satan says he was going to go above the heights of the clouds, what kind of cloud is he talking about? A cloud that looked like a whirlwind. A cloud made up of raging fire. So, you ever seen where, these wildfires, and they call it a fire-nator instead of a tornado? A fire-nator, that's what that is. But it's different. Look at this. This cloud with raging fire did something. It was engulfing itself. What does that mean? Think blender. Two blenders coming together, and it looked like fire just raging in and out of itself. By the way, that's what the Israelites seen while they were traveling through the wilderness. As they traveled from Egypt all the way to Mount Sinai, every single night, friends, every night, that's what they saw. Friends, they saw that, and yet still did not believe. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Seeing miracles, friends, will never bring someone to Christ. Why? Because there's no power in miracles. So, oh man, that's miracles? If I see somebody raised from the dead, no, you won't. You won't believe because you see someone raised from the dead. Remember the story of Lazarus and the rich man? And he said, hey, send Lazarus from the dead to go tell my brothers. And what did God say through Abraham? You idiot. You still don't get it. You're in hell and you still don't get it. Die fool. They have Moses, that is the scriptures and the prophets. If they won't listen to the gospel, which is the only power of God to salvation, neither will they believe somebody, even if they came and raised them from the dead. Folks, miracles never bring anybody to God. the Israelites and the Jews seen miracles, more miracles than any place at any time in the history of the world when Jesus walked the earth. How many of those people believed? When God was there doing it himself. 120 and ultimately 500. Out of millions, folks. Millions. Nah. But that's what they saw. A brightness was all around it. It what? Yeah, the fire. And radiating out of the midst of it like the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. So, folks, that's what the devil said. All right. And that's what he was talking about when he says right here that he was going to ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So, here's the question. What do you and I have to do to be like the Most High? When God says you come short of his glory, what does that look like? That look like God sitting in heaven. That look like God is sitting on the throne. That look like God is sitting on the mountain of the congregation on the sides of the north. That look like he has all this glory. Satan thought if he did all of that, and this is the most important part that you see right here, he's sitting. Okay? Now, watch this. God says, no, you're going to be brought down, buddy. And you're going to go to hell. And there's pits in hell, folks. There are levels in hell. So don't get this twisted and thinking everybody's just going to be, and here's a lake and everybody's going to be right there swimming. No. No. This is going to be an individual pit in total darkness on fire forever. All right, so here we go. Now, this part here is in the future. This is making reference to Isaiah chapter 66, when God says he's going to show the new people in the new heaven and the new earth and allow them to see those who rebelled against him. So let's go back. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to do his own thing. Notice, Satan was trying to do his own will. You ever notice something? When Satan did that, how in the world can this angel convince 1/3 of all the angels to follow him? Satan must have, folks, I can't imagine what this guy looked like. To convince angels who seen God face to face, who knew that he was God. What kind of power and authority God gave to Satan to make these angels believe that he could be equal with God? That is amazing. We'll never find that out until we get to heaven, but I definitely want to know. He shall exalt and magnify. Now notice, he does certain things. He exalts. What was Satan doing? Trying to exalt and magnify himself. Above what? Every God. Just the Most High? No, every God. What is that a reference to? That's a reference to religion. He is going to terminate all religion. Religion is going to help him rule the world. But in the end, that's not what he wants. Folks, the Antichrist don't want to rule the world. The Antichrist wants to replace God. That's what he wants. Okay? So, what is that? This is mystery Babylon. The great. The woman, the whore. The harlot, who sits on many waters. He hates her. Folks, he don't like any kind of religion, because every religion have their own God. That's what God is making a reference to right here. Every religion have their own God. Muslim, Islam have Allah. The Buddhists, I don't know what they have, but it's like Confucius and Hare Krishna and this Christian Science have their own God. You know, some of these fake Christian religions like Catholicism have their own God. They have multiple gods, Mary and the saints, and this baby Jesus. And then you have the other fake Protestant Christian religions that have this, I don't know what kind of God they have, folks. I really don't. I listen to them and I keep trying to figure out, but it ain't the God of the Bible. Okay, now I'm not saying that every one of these religion, none of these folks are born again. I truly believe that there are some born again people in Catholicism, some born again people in the Baptist religion and evangelicals and all that stuff. I truly believe that. Okay, they're in a horrible place, and probably because of tradition and family and that. But I truly believe that they're born again. The majority of them are not. Why? Because they're worshiping a false god. Anyhow, my point is the gods right here. That's what he's making reference to. And in Revelation chapter 17, he's going to convince the world rulers, that is the kings of the earth, to kill all religion. Cut it out. Boom. All of it goes away. And the only religion that's going to be left is him. You're going to have to bow down and worship him and take his mark. He's going to get rid of all religion. Not some of it. All of it, because he himself is going to exalt and magnify himself, and he don't want any competition. He shall speak blasphemies against the God of gods, so the one true God, and shall prosper. See, he's going to prosper, friends. Every sinner and sin prosper until, you see that? Every sinner and every sin prospers. And there's some pleasure in sin, friends. Don't fool yourself in thinking there's not. That's pleasure. That's why people do it. Some people take pleasure in murder. Some people take pleasure in telling lies, in deceiving people. Some people take pleasure in fornication, homosexuality. Some people take pleasure in stuff that's not bad, but it's still sin. So it's bad, but it don't look bad to you and I. Okay? Being a glutton doesn't look bad, unless you're overweight. But there's gluttons that's smaller than me. So don't think of it as, the results of the sin. Think of it as what produces the sin. Okay, but you only prosper until what? Until you die. For it is appointed. Listen, folks, this is how you know you don't have free will. How? Because God has appointed a day for everyone to die. You're not going to miss that appointment. I don't care what your free will says. That day, remember the guy who was rich and he became more rich because he had a bumper crop, and he says, hey, what am I going to do with all this stuff? I'm going to say to my soul, build bigger barns and all this stuff. Here's all my plans. And God said to him, thou fool, this night. When he was ready? Nope. God says, this night, your soul is required of you. You are going to die. And there's nothing you can do about it. The book of Ecclesiastes says, no man has the power to retain his spirit in the time of death. No man. So do you have free will? No, man, you have no free will. You got a limited, governed free will, living under the sovereignty of the Most High God, who do whatsoever he will in the kingdom of men. Go ask Nebuchadnezzar. He turned that rascal's heart into an animal. Until wrath had been what? Accomplished. Whose wrath? God's wrath. God's wrath. God is going to allow, friends, this man to prosper. You say, well, why in the world would God do that? Well, he just told you. He just told you. You say, but God allowed this guy to prosper simply so that he can show wrath? Well, yeah. Yes. So what? Yes. That's the answer to your question. What you're not asking, though, is upon whom is God pouring out this wrath? Is it wrath upon the Antichrist? No, man. No. The wrath is on Israel. Israel. Where do you see Israel in this verse? I don't. It's in the other chapters for Daniel. You gotta go back and read the rest of the book.